Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and a little bit of collab, hopeful goodness, in the form of foam brewing and track brewing. Yeah, little European UK pond crossed collaboration, hopeful goodness, in the form of Grounded in the Stars IPA. Yeah, I've heard my fair share about track. Following the European beer tubing scene, the UK beer tubing scene. I hear a lot about this brewery. And when I saw Foam, which I really dig, and I do a bunch of their beers, I saw this kind of drop on a shelf local to me and couldn't help myself. So here we go. What do we have here? Grounded in the Stars, India Pale, 6.8% alcohol by volume. Foam Track Brewing, Grounded in the Stars. Heinsberg, Vermont, which is, unique, I guess, because they're in Burlington, I believe. And that's all we have. We have on the bottom here, we have can on 925. It is 10/19, so we're talking about 3 weeks old. Piccadilly. It says on the bottom for those keeping score at home. Manchester proper track is, they're like 3 miles away from Old Trafford. So, yeah. I don't believe I've had anything. I might have reviewed one beer from them. I don't remember, but I haven't had anything proper from them. But at least, hey, get a little bit of collabness going on and see where we land on that sucker. So, yeah, give it a pour, see where we get. Label-wise, it's not that I love Foam's art design. They do this contour cut labeling, which is, I'm just a sucker for contour cut labels. So, and with that contour cut label, it is always, from a distance, you know what you're getting. So, the graphic design / marketer in my soul appreciates that. So, I mean, that looks the part of proper haze. It doesn't look the part of turbid, butternut squash soup, turkey gravy, insane haze, but it has that nice haze to it, orange throughout, a little bit of more opaque edges to it. Pinky finger, white as white could be, kind of soft, nothing crazy, slightly slopey edge, kind of hazy. So we're off to an extremely good start. Yeah, it is fruit fly season here, so you might see me do this every now and then. So yeah, looks the part. Let's see if we can get a huff. Not a huge nose. Not a huge nose. Citrus. Citrus the main player in here, but nothing too heavy. You're talking 6.8. That's not to say gigantic beer to begin with, but I'm getting much more vibrant 2x4 to the face aromatics off of Hazie before, but this is very much a citrus base, at least on the nose, citrus base kind of IPA. Doesn't smell like there's going to be an overt residual sweetness to this or anything like that. It smells like it's going to be a super drinkable IPA. Summer in a glass is what we're dealing with here, at least on the nose. So again, not a crazy nose, but a pleasant one. So let's stab it at a sucker. See what we got. Cheers. Just good beer. It's good beer. I know that's such a like it doesn't tell much of a story when you say good beer, but I think it does. Because I think we'll kind of come full circle and explain that in a bit. First off, mouthfeel, not going to be confused with super thick turbid hazy. You kind of notice that based off of the look. But again, a nice, full kind of mouthfeel from what you'd expect from a not super crazy hazy IPA. On the hop side of the end, again, we're dealing with citrus. I think you're getting a little bit of everything else here too. Citrus leading the way, but you're getting a little bit of stone fruit, a little bit of tropical fine, but nothing too heavy-handed here. Decently attenuated. There's a slight little bit of residual sugar, but it actually finishes really dry, even with that residual sugar. So I think they're using, I could be wrong, but I think they're using some, what was the, not Conan. Conan's the one that most people use. What was the one hop or one yeast everybody was using? It was like a Norwegian yeast. I forget what it's called. It has that kind of vibe to it. So it's weird because it's a muted experience when it comes to what you typically expect from a new school kind of a hazy IPA, but where this kind of comes full circle in the discussion of it just being good beer. This is one of the hazies that I think if you give this to a haze bro or hop thought, I think they really enjoy it. Is it top tier? Is it Mount Rushmore status best of all time? No, but I think they really enjoy it. where this kind of comes full circle. It's like, if you did this to like a brewer nerd, like a BJCP homebrewing nerd who kind of might kind of rip on hazies because it's not beer or whatever, even if that thing's still a thing. And nowadays, I think they really enjoy it because I think it's just a really thoughtful, well done balance of flavors inside a hoppy beer. I know it's not overly sweet, but there's enough sweetness there. It finishes dry, but it has that little tipple of sweetness in the beginning of it, so it kind of balances out that way. You get a decent amount of fruit, sure, not a 2x4 to the face, but it's definitely there. And it has this nice mouthfeel without being heavy-handed, so you can drink it without it crushing the crap out of your palate. I really enjoy this. It's giving you all the bits and pieces of what makes really good haze without being too volumetric, which some might say, well, I just want it to be 2x4 to the face all the time. But when you get something that's so well made and so well balanced like this, it makes you kind of appreciate that. It makes you kind of appreciate that kind of back and forth between the hops and the malt and the whole nine and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm here for it. I like this quite a bit. And tasty. A good little introduction to track. This is the first time I'm reviewing it. And honestly, it's slight departure from what I typically get from foam. So I feel like their pulse, their DNA, their fingerprint is on this beer. That's one of the things a lot of times at collabs, you'll drink it and it just tastes like that brewery's beer with another brewer or brewery, their name kind of slapped on there. This one, yeah, it actually has a little bit different kind of vibe to it than most of what I get from foam. So I could feel like there definitely was a little bit of a Trex hands on the mixer when it comes to this one. But yeah, tasty. I bought this. It's foam, but it is collab. I want to say I paid $18 to $20. That's kind of standard fare when it comes to these beers now. So price wise, and it was off the shelf. But let's not get the cart before the horse and say, is this one of the better hazy IPAs I've had? That's like, yes. Is it Mount Rushmore status? If I just say hazy IPA, no. It's in the outside looking in, but it's very much toward the top. If I kind of want to massage this to where it makes it on Mount Rushmore status, I can absolutely do that. But not so much that, in that it's one of the more well-made, drinkable, balanced, that kind of thing. I think it gets up there then. So there's ones that wow me maybe a bit more than this, but as far as drinkability goes and balance, you'd be very hard pressed to find something better than this. And that kind of leads into the whole discussion. Like you said, I picked this up off a shelf for $18, $20. If you like what we like this, if you like well-made beer, but you also dig on hazy IPA, because that's where I think this one kind of lands firmly on both feet. It's just really good beer that happens to be a hazy IPA. Some people, hazy IPA is what makes a beer good. For me, I think, hazy IPA has its own DNA of its own, but sometimes there can be a super crazy over-the-top hazy IPA that I like that might not be the best constructed beer. This is extremely well constructed and a hazy IPA, so take that for what it's worth. So there you go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully you enjoyed. Down there, if you want to talk about it, Massive Beers. If you want to check me out through the social media stuff, Beer Mass Heat for the podcasting stuff. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a collab like this. How will we not skip the part about foam and track? Have you been to the brewery? Have you had their beers? What's your favorite beers from both breweries? Have you had this beer? All that stuff down there. Hopefully you guys enjoying a good beer right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, y'all.